In this presentation, we will show you how to activate and test your sensors and motion detectors. The Helix platform is fully operational right from the box. The sensors and motion detectors have been enrolled into and tested with your Helix unit prior to shipment to you. Each item has been assigned a zone designation. First, you need to lay all of your sensors and detectors on a clean surface. Tabletop would be good, so that you can see their zone designation numbers. And you need to determine where you will install each one in your home. For example, Zone 1, a door window sensor, you may have decided to install on the front door. Front door should be written on the box. Remove it from its box and remove the plastic battery tab that is sticking out from the cover. Holding the sensor, you should be able to remove the battery tab with little pressure. This activates the battery and powers up the sensor. Lay it next to its box so you will know which zone this is. Next, repeat this operation for all of your door and window sensors. Now, the photo below on the right shows the magnet button and how it lines up with the sensor. The sensor has a button on it, and the magnet has a button on it, and that shows you the direction to install it. Alright, this slide simply shows you your zones laid out on the table. Each magnet with its sensor, zone 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And you leave space between the sensors. You'll be testing them in a few moments. The first photo in this slide shows the sensor to magnet gap distance, and it should be approximately 1 inch, which means as you move the magnet away from the sensor should not activate until you are 1 inch or more away from the sensor with the magnet. Now, test your sensor by moving the magnet away from the sensor several inches. On the Helix platform, the arming LED will start blinking green, and you will hear the Helix chime. Moving it back will restore the sensor to normal, and the arming light will go back to solid green. Test each of your sensors in this way, and this will verify their enrollment to the Helix platform and that they're functioning correctly. Now, on mounting your sensors on your doors, you simply remove the adhesive paper backing on the back of the sensor and place it on your door frame. As you'll see from the picture of the door with the sensor and magnet installed, the gap here is very small. If your door frame is built different, you may have to have it at a larger distance away, but as I said previously, you should have approximately 1 inch and even a little more distance, and the sensor will still function correctly. And you can try this in the position that you need to install it before you remove the tape covering from the back of your sensor to make sure it's still activating on your Helix platform. Now, the motion detectors also have plastic battery tabs that must be removed in order to activate the detector. But in order to remove these battery tabs, you cannot just pull them out of the side of the motion detector. You must remove the front cover in order to remove the plastic tab. So to remove the front cover, you have to press down on the cover latch as the picture shows, and the front cover will separate from the back at the seam or the joint that you see pointed out there by the yellow arrow. The following pictures will explain this in more detail. So you press down on the tab and then you move the front cover forward. You need to be very careful of the front cover. Do not put pressure on it and keep it clean, as the sensor's clear view is very important. Now that you have the front cover removed from the motion detector, you can see the interior of the motion detector. Notice the location of the plastic battery tab in relation to the battery and the battery casing. Let me point out that you want to be very careful not to touch the board any more than necessary, and never touch the area around the sensor lens. So holding the back of the motion detector as shown above, remove the plastic battery tab and make sure that the battery remains well seated in its holder. Once the battery is in touch with the circuit, the red test light will come on. This test and the red light is explained in the motion detector pamphlet located in technical documents. We'll discuss that a little later on. Now you need to replace the front cover, being careful not to apply pressure on the plastic cover. The tab fits underneath the lip at the top, and again you see the red test light is on once you have secured the front cover. We recommend you use 3M 3/8 inch two-sided tape for mounting your motion detector to the wall. If you're mounting it in a corner, the body of the motion has 45-degree corners, making it easy to secure and tightly bond to the wall. If you're mounting it on a flat wall, one long piece, as shown on the pictures on the following slides, works very well. Now it can also be mounted to the wall with screws, but you must remove the motion detector board from the case in order to get to the mounting holes behind it. This is explained in Technical Manual for PIR motion. If you do decide to mount with screws, you must be very careful in the handling of the motion board and especially the lens area. We recommend you use the 3M 3/8 inch two-sided tape for your mounting of the motion detector. This slide shows the positioning of the two-sided tape to the back of the motion detector. The first picture shows the motion detector being prepared to mount in a corner, and the second picture shows the motion detector with tape positioned in order to mount it to a flat surface. And one thing you want to be very careful of is when you mount the motion detector, to mount it in the right position. Do not mount it upside down. If you see from the last photo on this page that there is a little indented box at the top of the motion detector, and that's the way you can determine the positioning of the motion detector on the wall. Now this diagram shows the range of detection of the motion detector when it's mounted in the correct position. You should mount your motion detector 7.5 feet above the floor for optimum performance between the catch performance and the pet immunity and false alarm prevention. We also recommend that you do not place so that a large window is in the target pattern. Or if you have to, well then be sure that the shades or drawn when you are armed in the away mode, because it might be possible to pick up motion on the outside of that window and sense it as an intrusion into the room. Notice the range of the field of detection. Outwardly is from 40 to 56 feet, and on each side you see that it goes out 56 feet on each side. Now in this diagram we show a room that's 40 foot by 20 foot, and we have the motion detector mounted in two different locations. The one in the corner is the one we recommend, the blue motion detector. That would be your best choice. Second choice would be mounted to the back wall. It's the red motion detector. That would be able to cover the room also. Remember, you place the motion detector 7.5 foot from the floor. Now the testing of the motion detector. The motion detector can be tested two different ways. You can do a walk test. This is where it uses that red test light that you saw earlier when you was taking the battery tab out of the motion detector. This is described in the technical manual, Manuals for PIR Motion. That's one way you can test it. Or you can test it by arming your system in the away mode. That would be the live test. We recommend that you do the arm away test. Now the motion detector has a 2.5 minute setup delay programmed into it. So once you have armed your system in the away mode and the countdown to arm has finished, you stay out of the field of view of the motion detector for 2.5 more minutes. After 2.5 minutes, you can walk into or across the room where the motion is installed. The system should go into alarm mode and you should hear the siren. You can use your key fob for this test, and it makes it very convenient to arm and disarm the system. Your security section of your Helix platform is now functioning properly. You can test your system by triggering your sensors, key fobs, and helipad. Remember, it is not sending an alarm signal to the security station at this time, so the police will not be showing up to check you out. When you feel comfortable with the operation, then proceed to the next training PowerPoint. The next training PowerPoint is the Customer Account Part 1.